Throughout history, powerful men have guarded a secret practice that unlocks extraordinary levels of energy, focus, and vitality. This ancient discipline, semen retention, has been deliberately obscured from mainstream knowledge, yet it remains one of the most potent tools for male empowerment available today. What you're about to discover is knowledge that successful men across centuries have used to build empires, create masterpieces, and achieve remarkable physical performance. Knowledge that is both rare and invaluable in our hypersexualized world. While modern society constantly pushes men toward frequent release and instant gratification, we're experiencing epidemic levels of lethargy, brain fog, and diminished drive. What if the solution isn't another supplement, productivity hack, or fitness program, but rather mastering the fundamental life force that powers your existence? The practice of semen retention, conserving your vital essence, represents a counterintuitive yet scientifically backed approach to reclaiming your natural masculine power. Today, I'll share how this forgotten practice can transform your life in ways that might seem almost unbelievable until you experience them yourself. The remarkable benefits you'll learn about aren't merely theoretical. They're backed by both ancient wisdom and modern research. From Tesla to Muhammad Ali, from Steve Jobs to Pythagoras, countless visionaries and high achievers have reportedly practiced some form of semen retention to fuel their exceptional accomplishments. More importantly, thousands of modern men are rediscovering this practice and reporting life-changing improvements in energy, mental clarity, confidence, and even their success with women. Paradoxically, by mastering their sexual energy rather than constantly expending it. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just the what of semen retention, but the crucial how, including the powerful energy transmutation technique I'll share that transforms conserved sexual energy into fuel for your goals, creativity, and personal magnetism. This ancient method, adapted for the modern man, is what separates those who struggle with retention from those who thrive with it. The difference between feeling frustrated and stagnant versus channeling this powerful energy into creating the life you truly desire. Before we dive deeper into this transformative practice, I'm curious, what city and state are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. I'd love to see where this knowledge is spreading. Now, let's explore the scientific evidence behind semen retention and why this practice could be the missing key to unlocking your full potential. The physiological benefits of semen retention extend far beyond ancient claims, with modern science now validating many traditional observations. Research published in the journal Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews indicates that abstaining from ejaculation leads to significant increases in serum testosterone levels, peaking around the 7th day of retention. This hormonal optimization creates a cascade of positive effects throughout the body, including enhanced muscle development, improved bone density, and increased red blood cell production. Additionally, studies from the University of Beijing have demonstrated that men practicing retention experience upregulation of androgen receptors, effectively making their bodies more responsive to the testosterone they already produce, rather than requiring more of the hormone itself. Beyond hormonal benefits, semen retention preserves critical nutrients that would otherwise be expelled during ejaculation. Seminal fluid is remarkably nutrient-dense, containing concentrated amounts of zinc, selenium, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, particularly B12, which is essential for nerve function and energy production. Research from the Royal Society of Chemistry confirms that these nutrients play vital roles in cognitive function, immune response, and cellular energy production. Conservation of these resources allows the body to redirect them toward metabolic processes, tissue repair, and brain function, explaining why many retention practitioners report enhanced mental clarity, improved memory, and accelerated physical recovery. Perhaps most fascinating are the neurological changes observed in men practicing semen retention. A 2003 study published in Neuro Report documented increased delta brainwave activity after 7 days of abstinence, associated with deeper states of meditation, heightened learning ability, and intuitive thinking. Furthermore, research from the University of California found that abstaining from ejaculation leads to upregulation of dopamine receptors in the reward pathways of the brain, potentially reversing desensitization caused by frequent ejaculation. This neurochemical recalibration explains why many practitioners report increased motivation, greater pleasure from everyday activities, and reduced anxiety after sustained periods of retention. The brain literally becomes more sensitive to natural rewards and less dependent on intense stimulation. Beginning the journey of semen retention requires a foundational shift in how you think about sexual energy. Rather than viewing this force as something that must be released, start conceptualizing it as a powerful current that can be redirected throughout your body. This mental reframing is essential. Retention isn't about suppression but transmutation. The first practice to master is mindful awareness of your arousal levels. Throughout your day, develop the habit of checking in with your sexual energy on a scale of 1-10. This simple awareness practice helps you recognize when energy is building, before it reaches critical levels where control becomes difficult. By catching the wave early, you can implement management techniques before being overwhelmed by urges. Breathwork serves as one of the most immediate and effective tools for managing intense sexual energy. When you notice arousal building, practice the cooling breath technique. Inhale deeply through your mouth as if sipping through a straw, then exhale slowly through your nose while relaxing your pelvic floor. Repeat this pattern 10-15 times, visualizing the energy moving upward from your genitals into your abdomen, chest, and finally your head. This ancient Taoist practice, scientifically supported by its effect on parasympathetic nervous system activation, can transform potentially distracting sexual energy into revitalizing life force within minutes, leaving you feeling centered rather than agitated. Physical activity provides another powerful channel for redirecting sexual energy. When urges arise, immediately engage in brief, intense exercise. Push-ups until failure, a set of squats, or even vigorous walking will effectively redistribute the energy that's pooling in your pelvic region. This technique works because sexual energy and physical energy draw from the same fundamental life force. By channeling this energy into movement, you're utilizing it constructively, rather than feeling compelled to release it. Many successful practitioners keep a simple exercise routine ready for moments when urges become strong, treating these moments not as problems but as opportunities to strengthen their bodies. The environment you create significantly impacts your ability to maintain retention. Digital hygiene, eliminating or strictly limiting exposure to sexual content, is non-negotiable for beginners. This extends beyond obvious pornography to include social media feeds, certain YouTube channels, and even news sites that use sexualized images to drive engagement. Research from Cambridge University has shown that sexual visual stimuli trigger dopamine cascades similar to those seen in substance addictions, making consistent retention nearly impossible while regularly consuming such content. Create environmental conditions that support your practice by installing content blockers, unfollowing triggering accounts, and being ruthlessly selective about what you allow into your visual field. Developing a compelling why behind your practice creates resilience when challenges arise. Retention without purpose often fails, as the mind needs stronger motivation than vague benefits. Write down specific, meaningful reasons for your practice. Perhaps enhanced creativity for a project you're passionate about, increased energy for athletic performance, spiritual growth, or mental clarity for academic achievement. Review these reasons daily, especially during difficult periods. Studies in behavioral psychology consistently show that connecting daily actions to core values significantly increases adherence to challenging practices. Your why serves as an anchor when urges threaten to pull you off course. Mastering the art of sexual transmutation begins with managing fantasy and thought patterns. The mind initiates the sexual response cycle long before physical arousal becomes apparent. Practice thought substitution. When sexual thoughts arise, immediately redirect your attention to a predetermined constructive alternative. This might be a mental rehearsal of a presentation, visualization of fitness goals, or contemplation of a philosophical question that interests you. This technique, a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, helps break the neural pathways that automatically channel sexual energy toward release. With practice, you'll develop the ability to catch and redirect sexual thoughts within seconds, preventing them from gaining momentum and leading to strong physical urges. As you advance in your retention practice, Exploring non-ejaculatory orgasm techniques can provide a balanced approach that honors your sexuality while conserving vital energy. The key physiological understanding here is separating orgasm from ejaculation, two distinct processes often incorrectly viewed as inseparable. The multi-orgasmic method involves bringing yourself close to climax, about 70% arousal, then applying firm pressure to the perineum, the area between the scrotum and anus, while performing Kegel exercises and deep breathing. This physically blocks the ejaculatory response while allowing the pleasurable sensations of orgasm to flow upward through the body. With practice, this technique creates waves of orgasmic energy throughout your entire system, without the energy depletion that follows ejaculation. Taoist masters have refined this practice over thousands of years, and modern sexologists like Mantak Chia have documented its effectiveness for contemporary practitioners. Cultivating strong pelvic floor muscles becomes essential for advanced retention practice. The pubococcygeus, PC muscle, which extends from the pubic bone to the tailbone, acts as a valve for sexual energy. When strengthened, it gives you precise control over your arousal levels and ejaculatory response. Develop this muscle group through daily Kegel exercises. Tightly contract the same muscles you would use to stop urination midstream. Hold for 5 to 10 seconds, then release. Begin with 3 sets of 10 repetitions daily, gradually increasing to 5 sets of 20. For enhanced results, practice Kegel ladders, contracting the muscle in 10% increments from 0% to 100% tension, then back down. This progressive training develops remarkable control over the physiological processes of arousal and creates what practitioners describe as an energetic container capable of holding and circulating sexual energy rather than reflexively releasing it. For those in partner relationships, communicated retention practices can dramatically enhance intimacy rather than diminish it. The practice of carezza, sexual connection without the goal of orgasm, involves slow, mindful intimacy focused on energy exchange rather than building toward climax. Partners maintain eye contact, synchronize breathing, and move slowly enough to stay below the ejaculatory threshold. This approach activates different neurochemical responses than conventional sex, emphasizing bonding hormones like oxytocin over the brief dopamine spike of orgasm. Couples who practice this method report deeper emotional connection, prolonged states of pleasure, and elimination of the hangover effect that often follows conventional sexual encounters. This practice requires clear communication with your partner about your intentions and goals, creating a collaborative approach to sexuality that often strengthens relationship bonds. The microcosmic orbit meditation serves as a cornerstone practice for circulating retained sexual energy throughout your body. This ancient Taoist technique involves guiding energy along the governing and conception vessels, two primary meridians in traditional Chinese medicine. Begin in a seated position with eyes closed, focusing attention on your lower abdomen, the dantian. Inhale deeply while visualizing energy gathering at this center. Then exhale while guiding this energy downward to the perineum, up the spine to the crown of the head, and down the front of the body back to the dantian, completing the orbit. Practice this circulation for 10-15 minutes daily, particularly when feeling charged with sexual energy. Neurologically, this meditation redirects attention and blood flow patterns, creating new neural pathways for energy movement while activating the parasympathetic nervous system for deep relaxation. Fasting synergizes powerfully with retention practices, as both conserve vital energy and redirect it toward healing and higher functions. Implement strategic fasting periods, whether intermittent daily fasts of 16-18 hours or longer fasts of 24 to 48 hours once weekly, during retention streaks to amplify benefits. During fasting periods, the body initiates autophagy, cellular cleaning processes, and produces higher levels of human growth hormone and brain-derived neurotrophic factor, enhancing tissue repair and neuroplasticity. Combined with retention, this creates optimal conditions for both physical regeneration and heightened mental function. Many practitioners report that hunger and sexual urges operate on similar mechanisms. Mastering one strengthens your ability to master the other, creating a virtuous cycle of increasing self-regulation. Cold exposure training provides another powerful tool for managing sexual energy. Develop a daily practice of ending your shower with 30-60 seconds of cold water, gradually increasing duration as your tolerance builds. When experiencing intense sexual urges, immersion in cold water immediately redirects blood flow away from the genital region, providing instant relief from arousal while triggering norepinephrine release for mental clarity. Beyond immediate management of urges, regular cold exposure activates brown adipose tissue, increases testosterone production, and improves dopamine sensitivity, all supporting the neurobiological conditions that make retention easier over time. This practice builds general impulse control by training the prefrontal cortex to override immediate comfort-seeking impulses, a skill that transfers directly to sexual self-regulation. As you begin practicing semen retention, understanding how to prevent and manage discomfort becomes essential for sustainable success. Testicular congestion, commonly called blue balls, can occur during extended arousal without release, causing a heavy, aching sensation in the pelvic region. This discomfort results from vasocongestion, increased blood flow to the genitals without the relief that ejaculation provides. While not harmful, this sensation can be uncomfortable and distracting. The most effective solution is prevention through arousal management, but when congestion occurs, several remedies can provide relief. Gentle testicular traction, carefully pulling downward on the scrotum while performing deep breathing, helps drain accumulated blood. Light physical activity like walking, jogging, or pelvic tilts effectively redistributes blood flow away from the genital region. Cold showers directed at the lower abdomen and genitals cause vasoconstriction, reducing swelling and discomfort. These simple interventions can transform an uncomfortable experience into a manageable one without compromising your retention practice. Prostate health requires special attention during semen retention, particularly for men over 30. While some studies suggest retention may benefit prostate function by reducing inflammation, extended practice without proper care can potentially lead to congestion. Implement regular prostate maintenance through specific movement practices. Pelvic floor stretches, hip openers like butterfly stretches and frog pose, and gentle prostate massage externally through the perineum can maintain healthy circulation. Additionally, specific supplements support prostate function during retention. Zinc, 15-30 mg daily, saw palmetto extract, and regular consumption of pumpkin seeds provide nutritional support for this vital gland. Quarterly prostate self-examinations or professional checkups ensure any changes are detected early. With these precautions, retention becomes a practice that supports rather than stresses prostate health. Transitioning safely into retention requires a gradual approach, particularly for men who previously ejaculated frequently. Rather than attempting extreme periods of retention immediately, implement a progressive schedule that allows your body to adapt. Begin with modest goals, perhaps 3 to 5 days, before allowing release, then gradually extend this period as your energy management skills develop. This incremental approach prevents the intense frustration and potential relapse that often accompanies overly ambitious initial goals. Track your experiences in a journal, noting energy levels, mood fluctuations, and any discomfort. This documentation helps identify your body's unique patterns and optimal retention duration. Remember that physiological adaptations like increased testosterone sensitivity and neuroreceptor upregulation require consistent practice over months, not days. Progress comes through sustainable consistency rather than heroic but unsustainable efforts. Managing nocturnal emissions, involuntary ejaculations during sleep, represents a common challenge for retention practitioners. These releases, while natural, can undermine your practice if they occur frequently. Several practical strategies can significantly reduce their occurrence. Avoid heavy meals and fluids in the 3 to 4 hours before sleep. Practice the inverted psychic lock, visualizing energy moving upward from genitals to crown. Before bed, sleep on your back or right side rather than your stomach to reduce genital friction. Maintain cool sleeping temperatures, 65-68 degree Celsius, to prevent arousal triggered by excess heat, and implement the deer exercise, contracting the anal sphincter 36 times before bed to redirect energy upward. Approaching nocturnal emissions without shame is crucial. They represent natural regulatory functions rather than failures of will, and their frequency typically diminishes as your body adapts to retention. Sexual transmutation during retention requires careful attention to your energy system as a whole. Many practitioners experience energy blocks, manifesting as headaches, irritability, or insomnia when sexual energy accumulates without proper circulation. Address these imbalances through targeted energy work, regular physical exercise that engages the full body, especially practices that move energy upward like hill sprints, rope climbing, or handstands, spinal twists and inversions that open energy channels along the central nervous system, and breathwork practices like alternate nostril breathing that balance the autonomic nervous system. Additionally, acupressure on specific points, particularly Kidney 1 on the soles of the feet and DU20 at the crown, can effectively redistribute congested energy. These practices transform retention from a practice of containment to one of circulation, ensuring energy remains flowing rather than stagnant. Nutrition plays a crucial role in supporting healthy retention by providing the resources needed for transmutation. Several key nutrients facilitate the conversion of sexual energy into more refined forms. B-complex vitamins support neurological function and energy metabolism. Magnesium relaxes the nervous system and prevents tension buildup. Zinc replenishes reserves depleted during sexual arousal. Omega-3 fatty acids support brain function and reduce inflammation. And adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha and rhodiola help the body process stress that might otherwise trigger release-seeking behaviors. Equally important is what to avoid. Excessive alcohol impairs liver function and disrupts hormonal balance. Caffeine in large amounts can create nervous tension that seeks release. Refined sugars cause energy crashes that trigger comfort-seeking behaviors. And excessive meat consumption can increase sexual heat according to traditional Chinese medicine. A diet rich in fresh vegetables, moderate complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, and adequate protein creates the optimal biochemical environment for successful retention. The psychological dimension of semen retention requires as much attention as the physical aspects, beginning with understanding the emotional fluctuations common during practice. Many men experience a phenomenon informally termed retention mood swings, periods of euphoria and confidence alternating with irritability, anxiety, or lethargy as the body adjusts to changing neurochemistry. These fluctuations typically follow patterns. Days 1 to 3 often bring relaxation after release. Days 4 to 7 commonly introduce heightened energy and sometimes agitation as testosterone levels peak. Days 8 to 14 frequently stabilize into increased focus and drive, while extended periods beyond 2 weeks can bring deeper emotional states to the surface. Rather than resisting these fluctuations, develop emotional mindfulness, the practice of observing feelings without immediate reaction. Implementing a daily check-in practice using a mood-tracking app or journal helps identify your personal patterns and their triggers, allowing you to plan important activities during your peak mental states while scheduling adequate self-care during challenging periods. A particularly valuable insight from experienced practitioners is recognizing the flatline period, a temporary state of low libido and energy that typically occurs between weeks 2 to 5 of retention. Many beginners misinterpret this phase as something gone wrong, incorrectly assuming retention should continuously increase energy. In reality, this flatline represents a crucial healing phase where the brain's dopamine system recalibrates after potentially years of frequent release patterns. Neurologically, downregulation of dopamine receptors from frequent sexual stimulation creates a period of adjustment as these systems restore sensitivity. Rather than abandoning practice during this challenging phase, implement extra self-care. Ensure adequate sleep, 7 to 9 hours. Increase light to moderate exercise. Maintain social connections while accepting reduced energy. Supplement with tyrosine, mucuna pruriens, or SAMe to support dopamine production, and trust the process, knowing that most practitioners report emerging from this phase with substantially increased vitality and mental clarity once neural recalibration completes. Managing intrusive sexual thoughts becomes essential for psychological well-being during retention. Rather than suppressing these thoughts, which paradoxically strengthens them through what psychologists call ironic processing, implement the more effective strategy of mindful acknowledgement. When sexual imagery arises, practice the noting technique from mindfulness meditation. Silently label the thought as sexual thinking, without judgment, then gently redirect attention to your current activity. This approach deactivates the thought without energizing it through resistance. For persistent intrusive thoughts, implement the urge surfing technique developed by addiction psychologists. Visualize the urge as a wave that rises, peaks, and naturally subsides while breathing deeply into the sensation without acting on it. With consistent practice, the mind learns that urges are temporary phenomena rather than commands requiring action, significantly reducing their intensity and frequency over time. Social dynamics present unique challenges during retention, as your changing energy affects interpersonal interactions. Many practitioners report increased attention from others, particularly potential romantic partners, as their retained energy manifests as improved posture, stronger vocal tone, and more deliberate movement patterns. While this attention can be validating, it also tests your commitment to practice. Develop clear internal boundaries before entering socially charged environments, perhaps implementing the 3-second rule, allowing yourself to notice attraction but redirecting attention after 3 seconds to prevent feeding sexual fantasies. Additionally, be prepared for potential skepticism or misunderstanding from others regarding your practice. Rather than engaging in lengthy explanations or debates, develop a simple, confident response for those who inquire, such as, "I'm exploring energy practices that enhance my focus and creativity." This maintains your boundaries while acknowledging the conversation without inviting unnecessary scrutiny. Sleep quality significantly impacts retention success, creating a bi-directional relationship worth optimizing. On one hand, retention often improves sleep depth and reduces required sleep duration as energy efficiency increases. On the other hand, poor sleep substantially increases the likelihood of breaking retention streaks due to compromised willpower and self-regulation. Implement a comprehensive sleep hygiene protocol. Maintain strict sleep-wake times that align with circadian rhythms. Eliminate blue light exposure 90 minutes before bed through screen filters, or preferably, complete avoidance. Keep bedroom temperatures between 65-68 degrees. Practice the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8, to activate the parasympathetic nervous system before sleep. And consider supplementing with magnesium glycinate, tart cherry juice, or low-dose melatonin, 0.3 kg, if needed for sleep onset. The improved sleep quality typically reported by successful practitioners creates another positive feedback loop that reinforces your retention practice. Developing healthy relationships with desire itself represents perhaps the most profound psychological aspect of retention. Many men begin this practice with a combative mindset toward their sexual energy, viewing it as an enemy to be conquered rather than a force to be channeled. This adversarial relationship creates unnecessary struggle and diminishes results. Instead, cultivate what Eastern traditions call the witnessing presence, the capacity to observe sexual energy arising without immediately identifying with it. This perspective shift transforms retention from a practice of rigid control to one of wise stewardship. Practical implementations include daily meditation focused on observing bodily sensations without reaction, regular journaling about your relationship with sexual energy, and conscious language shifts from fighting urges to directing energy. This matured relationship with desire ultimately brings freedom, not from sexuality itself, but from compulsive patterns that diminish rather than enhance your life force. Rather than viewing semen retention as an absolute all-or-nothing practice, many experienced practitioners advocate for a cyclical approach that honors natural rhythms. This strategy, sometimes called strategic release, involves planned periods of retention followed by conscious release, creating sustainable long-term practice. Various cyclical frameworks exist, with the most common being the 7-day cycle, based on the testosterone peak study mentioned earlier, the lunar cycle, new moon to new moon, approximately 29.5 days, seasonal cycles, longer retention in winter-fall, shorter in spring-summer, or goal-oriented cycles, retention during work weeks or creative projects, relaxation on weekends or between projects. The key distinction between this approach and unconscious habits is intentionality. Each release is a conscious decision rather than an impulsive reaction. This cyclical method provides physiological benefits while acknowledging that different life phases and goals might require different energy management strategies. For many men, this balanced approach proves more sustainable than indefinite retention, especially when beginning the practice. For men in committed relationships, completely eliminating ejaculation may create partnership tensions or missed opportunities for intimacy. A balanced alternative is the practice of carezza mentioned earlier, combined with a measured approach to release frequency. Many relationship-oriented retention practitioners implement a once per week or once per fortnight schedule for ejaculatory intercourse, while maintaining non-ejaculatory connection on other occasions. This approach satisfies both partners' needs for physical intimacy while still harnessing many retention benefits. Communication becomes essential. Explain to your partner that this practice isn't about avoiding intimacy, but enhancing it through energy conservation and circulation. Many couples report that when properly implemented, this practice transforms their sexual connection from a primarily physical experience to one encompassing emotional, energetic, and spiritual dimensions. Partners often notice the man's increased presence, emotional availability, and sustained engagement when ejaculation becomes occasional rather than expected with each encounter. For those finding full retention challenging, implementing quality standards rather than quantity goals offers an alternative approach. Instead of focusing exclusively on how long you retain, shift attention to the quality of your relationship with sexual energy when release does occur. Eliminate mindless or compulsive patterns, particularly pornography use, which neurologically pairs sexual release with passivity and spectator consciousness. If release occurs, make it a mindful, present experience free from fantasy, focusing instead on bodily sensations and energy movement. Additionally, explore retention's primary purpose, the redistribution of energy toward your highest priorities. Even with moderate retention periods of 3 to 7 days, significant energy redirection benefits occur when this conserved energy is consciously channeled into creative work, physical training, spiritual practice, or relationship depth. This quality-focused approach often naturally extends retention periods as the benefits of energy redirection become experientially obvious. Some men benefit from retention primarily as a reset mechanism rather than a permanent lifestyle. This approach uses defined periods of retention, typically 30, 60, or 90 days, to break unconscious patterns, recalibrate dopamine sensitivity, and establish a new baseline relationship with sexual energy. After completing this reset period, mindful reintroduction of sexual expression follows, maintaining the insights and awareness gained during retention while adapting practices to individual life circumstances. This approach has proven particularly valuable for men recovering from pornography dependencies or compulsive sexual habits, as it creates the neurological space necessary for new patterns to emerge. Many report that after such reset periods, their natural inclination shifts toward moderation even without rigid rules, as they have experienced firsthand the energy difference between unconscious release patterns and strategic energy management. For those drawn to retention primarily for productivity and performance benefits rather than spiritual development, the practice of Semen Retention Light offers accessible entry points. This modified approach focuses on eliminating the most energetically depleting behaviors, particularly the combination of pornography and masturbation, while maintaining moderate sexual expression within relationships. Complementary practices emphasize energy recovery techniques including proper post-ejaculatory nutrition, zinc-rich foods, B vitamins, and adaptogens, adequate rest, and breathwork to minimize the hangover effect many men experience after release. This pragmatic approach often serves as a gateway to deeper practice as men experience tangible benefits from even partial implementation. The core principle remains energy awareness, developing sensitivity to how various sexual expressions affect your energy system and adjusting accordingly to support your priority objectives. Perhaps the most balanced approach integrates retention with the broader framework of sexual transmutation, the art of converting sexual energy into creative, intellectual, and spiritual power. This perspective views retention not as the goal itself, but as one component of a comprehensive energy management system. Rather than focusing exclusively on not ejaculating, this approach emphasizes the active redirection of sexual energy into constructive channels. Practical implementation includes daily creative practice immediately after morning meditation when sexual energy is naturally elevated, physical training that engages the full body, deep intellectual engagement with challenging material, and service to causes beyond self-interest. This holistic method satisfies the fundamental need for expression that drives much sexual behavior, redirecting it toward outcomes that build rather than deplete your life force. Men practicing this integrated approach report that retention becomes nearly effortless when sexual energy finds meaningful alternate expressions. The quantum breath circulation technique represents the culmination of ancient wisdom and modern understanding of the body's energy systems. This powerful practice goes beyond basic energy management to create a self-reinforcing energy circuit that transforms sexual energy into what Eastern traditions call ojas, refined life force that enhances creativity, charisma, and spiritual awareness. Unlike simplistic approaches that merely redirect attention away from urges, this comprehensive method actively circulates energy through the body's major energy centers while activating key neurotransmitter systems. The technique harmonizes the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, balancing arousal and relaxation to create an optimal state for energy refinement. While this practice may initially feel complex, with consistent application for 21 days it becomes second nature, a go-to method during periods of intense sexual energy or when seeking heightened performance states. Begin in a comfortable seated position with your spine straight yet relaxed. Place your tongue gently against the roof of your mouth just behind your front teeth, creating what traditional Chinese medicine calls the small heavenly circuit by connecting the governing and conception vessels. Close your eyes and bring awareness to your breath, allowing it to deepen naturally for several cycles. Now direct your attention to your perineum, the area between your genitals and anus, visualizing this region as a storage center for sexual energy. As you inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 6, imagine vibrant red energy gathering at this center, becoming more concentrated and brilliant with each breath. Contract your pelvic floor muscles gently at the height of your inhalation, creating slight upward pressure. This activation of the root energy center initiates the transmutation process by engaging the parasympathetic nervous system through the pelvic splanchnic nerves, shifting your body from fight or flight to rest and digest physiology. On your next inhalation, visualize this gathered energy beginning to rise upward along your spine like mercury in a thermometer, moving from the perineum through each vertebra in sequence. Simultaneously perform a microcosmic pull, subtly contracting your abdomen while maintaining the pelvic floor engagement, creating gentle upward pressure that assists the energy's ascent. As you exhale for a count of 8, visualize this energy continuing to rise through your heart center, throat, and finally reaching the crown of your head. With each breath cycle, the energy changes color and quality as it ascends, transforming from primal red at the base to vibrant orange in the sacral region, radiant yellow at the solar plexus, emerald green at the heart, bright blue at the throat, deep indigo at the third eye, and finally, brilliant violet or white light at the crown. This visualization activates specific brain regions along the default mode network, creating a top-down regulation of sexual impulses while stimulating the release of endorphins and enkephalins, the body's natural bliss chemicals. Once the energy reaches your crown center, implement the cranial cooling breath. Slightly part your lips and inhale as if sipping through a straw, while visualizing cool lunar energy entering through the top of your head. This specialized breathing pattern activates the trigeminal nerve, triggering the mammalian diving reflex and immediately calming the autonomic nervous system. Allow this cooling energy to descend down the front of your body on the exhalation, passing through your face, throat, heart, solar plexus, and lower abdomen, eventually meeting and harmonizing with the rising sexual energy. This creates a continuous circuit, hot, yang energy rising through the spine, transforming at the crown, then returning as cool, yin energy down the front of the body. Continue this circular breathing and visualization for at least 9 complete cycles, feeling the circuit becoming stronger with each round as the energies balance and integrate. To complete the practice and seal the energy, perform the advanced energy lock. Inhale deeply while contracting your pelvic floor, slightly engaging your abdominal muscles, and gently pressing your tongue more firmly against your palate. Hold this triple lock for a comfortable duration, starting with 5 seconds and gradually increasing with practice. Visualizing the circulating energy being absorbed into your central channel and each major energy center. Release the lock slowly as you exhale, maintaining awareness of the now refined energy permeating your entire system. Finish with 3 deep, slow breaths, each time visualizing your entire body glowing with integrated, balanced energy. This final sealing process activates the vagus nerve, the primary mediator of the parasympathetic nervous system, inducing a state of alert relaxation ideal for creative work, interpersonal connection, or spiritual practice. For maximum benefit, implement this technique at 3 crucial junctures. First thing upon waking, when sexual energy naturally peaks due to elevated testosterone levels. Whenever experiencing intense sexual urges or creative blocks during the day. And just before engaging in your highest priority activities to channel this refined energy toward meaningful accomplishment. Advanced practitioners report remarkable results when combining this technique with specific intention setting, mentally directing the transmuted energy toward healing specific body regions, enhancing particular cognitive functions, or manifesting defined objectives. The neurobiological explanation for these effects involves optimized prefrontal cortex function, combined with increased heart rate variability and coherent brainwave patterns, creating an ideal state for peak performance. With consistent practice, this technique doesn't merely manage sexual energy, it transforms it into your greatest creative resource, available on demand for life's most meaningful challenges and opportunities. Throughout this exploration of semen retention, we've uncovered a practice that transcends simple abstinence to become a comprehensive system of energy management. From the scientific evidence demonstrating measurable hormonal and neurochemical benefits to the practical techniques for transmuting this conserved energy, the path is clear. Semen retention offers men a powerful tool for reclaiming their vital force in a world constantly encouraging its dissipation. Whether you're drawn to this practice for physical performance, mental clarity, creative enhancement, or spiritual development, the fundamental principle remains consistent. Sexual energy represents your most potent creative resource, and learning to direct rather than merely expend it opens doorways to extraordinary capabilities. The journey isn't always easy, but as countless practitioners throughout history have discovered, the rewards of mastering this energy far outweigh the temporary challenges of restraint. I encourage you to begin where you are, without judgment or unrealistic expectations. Start with modest retention periods, perhaps 3 to 7 days, while implementing the transmutation techniques we've discussed, particularly the quantum breath circulation method. Pay close attention to subtle changes in your energy levels, mental clarity, confidence, and interpersonal magnetism. Document your experience, noting patterns, challenges, and breakthroughs that emerge uniquely for you. Remember that this practice isn't about perfection, but progression. Each day of conscious energy management builds neurological pathways that make future success more accessible. Even if you experience setbacks, the awareness you're developing permanently transforms your relationship with this vital energy. The goal isn't rigid control, but wise stewardship of your life force, directing it toward what truly matters in your life. I'm deeply curious about your experience with these practices. Which techniques resonated most strongly with you? What benefits have you noticed during retention periods? What challenges are you facing that we might address in future discussions? Share your journey in the comments below. Your insights not only help fellow practitioners, but contribute to our collective understanding of these powerful yet under-researched practices. If you found value in this exploration, please consider subscribing to our channel for continued discussions on optimizing male vitality, energy management, and conscious sexuality. By sharing this video with others who might benefit, you extend ancient wisdom that mainstream sources often overlook or misunderstand. Wisdom that has transformed countless lives throughout history and continues to do so today. Always remember, the truth goes beyond the pill. While modern approaches often focus on adding external substances to address deficiencies, the most powerful medicine frequently lies within, in the conscious management of energies and forces already present in your system. Semen retention represents one of the most accessible yet profound forms of this internal alchemy. requiring no special equipment, supplements, or external resources. Only the willingness to develop mastery over your own vital energies. As you continue this journey, know that you join countless men throughout history who discovered that true power comes not from compulsive release, but from conscious retention and redirection of life's most creative force. The path of the conscious man awaits. Walk it with awareness, commitment, and the knowledge that with each step, you reclaim more of your innate potential.